Hey guys, what's happening? Hope you're having an awesome day. Thanks for watching, tuning in, coming back, all that kind of stuff. I hope you're having an awesome day. And today I'm going to be in Luminar 3, and I'm working on a little sunset. Actually, you know what? It's a sunrise photo, but same idea, right? So I might call this video, Luminosity mask with sunset or whatever. I haven't named it yet, but yeah, it's a sunrise photo. Same difference. It's just that there's not any people out because it was sunrise. Anyway, so in this photo, let me just show you here. Boom, I'm in Dublin. And, well, I'm not in Dublin. I was in Dublin taking this photo. So it was a beautiful sunrise over the River Liffey. That's the Halfpenny Bridge, I believe they call it. Anyway, lovely town, super fun to shoot in. I had some beautiful light there. And what I want to talk about is using luminosity masks to enhance your sunset photos, or in this case, your sunrise photos. Again, kind of the same difference. And the reason I like to do that is because luminosity masks give you a lot of control over the intensity of how your edits get applied, right? And to me, I like to use luminosity masks when I'm adjusting color, simply because a luminosity mask, if you aren't aware, is based on light values or luminosity. So the mask is higher intensity, which means the effect is higher intensity in the areas that are brighter because they're more luminous or have greater luminosity, and they're less intense in areas where it's lower luminosity or darker, right? So in other words, the brighter parts of your image get more intense, demonstrate or show the more intense effects of the edits that you're doing, whereas the darker parts of it show less intense. So to me, that works really well on sunrise, sunset type photos because the color, which I love to adjust, is going to be usually more prominent in those areas because that's going to be the sky, or in this case, the sky and the water. And it's going to be less prominent in the darker areas, which for me are the buildings here. So in this kind of photo, I think it works particularly well. So let me jump into the editing. I haven't done anything yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I'm just going to kind of riff here. And basically, I'm just working on taking down the highlights, bumping up the shadows, a little bit of clarity, that sort of thing. And, just really basic stuff in the raw develop panel. And there we go. So, I think we've got a better looking photo. That was the original, and that's the current state. But I'm not done. I want to go add a new layer. And so here's the thing. With the filter masking capability, and by the way, if you're not familiar with filter masks and all the kind of different, luminosity masks, all that, I'll put some video links, I can never remember, video links up here that to other videos I've done about these. It'll maybe give you a little bit better background about what they are and how they work. But as I said, the luminosity mask is based on light values or luminosity. So you get more of the effect in the brighter parts and less of the effect in the darker parts of the photo. So you can also, however, use a luminosity mask on a single filter, which is called filter masking, or you can use it on a layer, which is called layer masking. So I'm going to do this on a layer, and the only I'm going to add new image layer, by the way. And the only reason I'm doing that this way in this video is because I'm going to have several filters, and they're all going to use the same luminosity mask. So it just makes logical sense to put them all on a layer and just put a luminosity mask across that layer. It saves you steps. Otherwise, if you wanted to do a luminosity mask on each filter, you got to build that mask each time. Now, build is basically one click, so this isn't a lengthy process. But to me, it's more logical and more efficient, I guess, to put multiple filters that are going to use the same mask on a layer and then just luminosity mask that layer. So that's what we're going to do. So I've added a new layer, which was right here. I just said plus, add new adjustment layer, right? I'm going to get these filters. So I'm going to get, let's see, what am I going to get? I'm going to do some colors, as I said. So I'm going to do like cross-processing, golden hour. How about saturation and vibrance? I think that sounds good. Okay. And so here's the deal. Cross-processing, I'm going to go with Seattle because it's got a nice pink kind of tint to it. As you can see, I do this all the time. Love that filter. Golden hour is nice golden pop. Saturation and vibrance, of course, is saturation and vibrance. And all of a sudden, your eyes are saying, oh, Jim, turn it down, man. Turn it down for the love of God, right? That is oversaturated. And that's because I haven't done anything with the mask yet. So this is where the beauty comes in is it adjusts things based on light values, right? So I'm on the adjustment layer, different than the filter layer, which is individual filters here. I'm up on the layer in my layers panel. I'm going to click on the brush. And in the drop down, it says luminosity. I'm going to one click that. And if you give it a minute, it'll run through, create a luminosity mask, and boom, there we go. Look at that. The colors are so much tamer. I love that about this because I got a lot, I think a nice pop of vibrancy and color without really oversaturating and kind of creating that clown vomit that I've talked about before. So in this case, the saturation level, I mean, you can see I went up 14 and 22 on saturation vibrance, 31 in golden hour, and 24 on this cross processing. And you saw it, it was really freaking colorful. And the color bump, if you will, from all these sliders was global. In other words, it covered the entire image because there was no mask created. Now that there's a luminosity mask, the color bump is getting impacted mostly in the brighter areas, the more luminous areas, and not impacted in the darker areas. And that's exactly what I want. That's why I think this is such a great technique for using on sunset and sunrise images. Now, let me show you the luminosity mask. You can go back up here on your layer. If you click on that brush, you see you have options here. Don't click luminosity again because that would just try to create the mask. You can actually click on brush as if you were going to do some brush masking. But the good thing about clicking on brush is it opens this menu up and you can click on that eyeball that says show mask. One click and there's your mask. So as you can see, more intense values applied or more intense mask applied in the brighter areas, which, surprise, is in the sky. Less intense mask here along the buildings, right? Here's another nice thing you can do. If you want to get rid of that mask entirely along the buildings, which, hey, guess what? I do. I don't really want any saturation there. I can click erase, and then I can just come in here, and I can just erase that mask from these buildings, and maybe some of that reflection too. And I'm doing kind of a quick, sloppy job. So don't tell my mom, we're just friends here. So we're just hanging out and I'm just kind of showing you how this works. Super sloppy job. I apologize. It's difficult. I'm going to go back to paint. I'm going to paint it back in some of these spots. Just here's the thing. Did you notice that? It's painting in darker. And that's because I'm not painting a luminosity mask. I'm painting a regular mask because I'm on the brush. So be careful when you're erasing your luminosity mask because you could jack stuff up. Now, that's not really going to be noticeable because it was a small area. But what I did is, let me show you one more time. I'll click on brush and then brush, show you the mask. I erased the mask from the buildings, basically the horizontal stripe across the middle. And that's because I don't want my color, especially Seattle, which is kind of a pink, I don't want those colors really falling onto the buildings. I want to maintain a little more semblance of non-saturation. Depending on the building color, I guess, it could pick up a little saturation. So you could have erased it at a lower opacity instead of completely erasing it. I could have erased it at 50 or 75% or something like that to take away some of that. But that's what I did. So now I'm pretty happy with my colors and my setup and all that. There's a couple other things I want to do. So I'm going to go to add new adjustment layer. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to add filter. I'm still on the same layer with the luminosity mask. I'm going to get the tone filter. And one thing that's bugging me a little bit is this part of the sky. It's pretty bright, kind of blown out. So I'm going to get the tone filter. I'm going to take smart tone. Let's see, what am I going to do? I'm going to take that down a little bit and I'm going to take highlights down. And look what I just did. I just selectively used the tone filter, which is negative smart tone and negative highlights, to pull down the brighter parts of the image, which impacted only on the luminosity mask. So in other words, it really just did it right here. And I think that worked incredibly well. Look at that area. So that's this area right here. I'm going to turn off the tone filter. Off. Pretty bright, not blown out necessarily, but pretty bright. And now looks much better. That more even distribution of light. Don't have that really sharp, bright area. Sharp's not the right word, but not really super bright. And let me turn that off one more time. Kind of too bright. Much better. That's negative smart tone and negative highlights on a luminosity mask layer with the tone filter. So that's another thing you can do is once you've got that luminosity mask in place, you can play with the light, and smart tone, instead of taking down more of the photo, will take down that area, right, in this case. So I'm going to do one more thing just to finish the photo. It's a new adjustment layer. Not doing any luminosity mask here. I'm just going to say add filter. I'm going to get structure. And one of my favorite tips is to go negative, which really blurs out detail. And I love that look in the sky and the water. I don't like it across the building. So I'm going to get my brush, click on brush. I'm on paint. I'm going to go really big here. And I'm just going to paint this negative structure into the sky and the water. And again, We're all friends, so I'm just kind of doing a quick sloppy job. But there you go. I can show you my mask. You know, I always miss some spots, but you know, you're not going to hold that against me, right? Right. Okay, good. So there we are. I mean, there it is. There is a negative structure, which is kind of like noise reduction. It's just a smoothing. There's an old filter in Color Effects Pro, I think. No. I don't know. Aperture? I don't remember. It's a skin smoothing filter. I forgot some product I've used. Anyway, this is very similar to that. It's just smoothing the photo out. So I've masked it into the sky and the water. So if I go that way, I'm going to really crank up the detail structure, which I don't think you want in sky and water. So I'm going this way. And now that I've got the mask in place, I can play with the amount because it's only affecting what I masked. And then conversely, I can go add structure again. Same layer. I'm using filter mask. I can bump the structure up a little bit because I want to create a little bit more crispness in those buildings. And so now I need to go get the brush. And this time I'm going to go smaller brush. And I'm going to go kind of, you know, quickly around some of these buildings just to kind of pull up some of that structure in the buildings, because I kind of like the buildings to be crisp. I mean, these are man-made objects that have a bit of detail and that sort of thing in them, so I'm kind of bringing that up a little bit. Here's the before. Again, I miss it. I always miss some stuff, but it's all good. We don't care. This is an example. This is not Jim trying to be precise. And done. So I've done that. Now I look at it and I think the buildings are a little bit dark. So I'm going to get this mask right here. I'm going to say mask, copy. And then I'm going to go add a filter. And I'm going to get the exposure filter. And I'm going to close that. And I'm going to say mask, paste. And then I'm just going to lift the exposure a little bit. All right, see how that did that? Now, my mask isn't really that precise, so you're going to have to keep in mind that it's going to be a little splotchy here. But what I did is selectively increase the exposure based on that mask that I'd done for the structure filter here for the buildings and the bridge and that sort of thing. And then all I did is copy and paste the mask onto the next filter, which is exposure, and bump that up a little bit. So all I did is, I'll turn this off. Watch the buildings and the bridge. There it is before, a little bit darker, and there it is now, a little bit lighter. May or may not be necessary. I wanted to brighten it a little bit. I actually don't think I'd go that much. I think I'd go a little bit less, maybe about like that. But that's a finished photo. There's the before and the after. The point really, oh, and here's the sliding before and after, right? You can see I really amped up the colors. And a lot of that color came out of the luminosity mask, which is what I was talking about. And one of the reasons I wanted to share this video, because I think it's a great tip or trick to use on sunset, sunrise, those kind of photos where you have nice pops of color and you want to isolate that basically without messing with other things. Like this kind of photo is probably a perfect example. So if you shoot stuff like this, like I do, this tip will come in really handy. And that's it today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this. Subscribe, like, hit the bell. I think it's over there, which will notify you when I post new videos, which is 2 to 3 a week. I'm kind of on that pace. We shall see. But I had a lot of fun doing this. Hope you enjoyed it. Comment, let me know what your thoughts are. And I'll see you soon, my friends. Take care. Have a great day. And adios.